Hello, my lovelies. Welcome to your yoga for wrists. We're doing a little bit of strengthening, a little bit of stretching, a little bit of pain relief. This is probably one of my most requested classes, and I'm happy to finally do it. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Natasha. If you're old here, welcome back. I'm an accessible trauma-informed yoga teacher that specializes in classes for plus-size folks, but all, of course, are welcome here. This is a great class. If you notice that maybe your wrists have been hurting during yoga or just in your day-to-day life, doesn't even have to be for yoga, or if you would really like to learn how to strengthen your wrists, again, for yoga or just for life. You know, we type, we text, we write, we're using our wrists for a lot. And especially in yoga, I find that a lot of my clients have issues with wrist pain, especially maybe in tabletop, downward facing dog, arm balances, handstands, and just wrist pain in the general day-to-day life. And also we need to build some strength in the wrists. I remember I went to a chiropractor probably like 8 years ago, and he was adjusting my body, and he got to my wrists and my ankles, and he was like, you're really strong everywhere else, really flexible everywhere else, but your wrists and ankles are super weak. And I was like, what? And it was then that I realized that I needed to work on strengthening my wrists, not just stretching them or focusing on the pain relief, but also strengthening them. So this is a great class to add on to your daily yoga practice, your weekly yoga practice, as a supplemental class if you're working on strengthening certain yoga poses, or if you just want to learn how to build that wrist strength in yoga or in your day-to-day life. But it is also a great class on its own. We're going to pretty much get right into it now. Most of this class is going to be seated or on the knees. We'll do a little bit of downward dog, a little bit of standing forward fold, but I recommend you have any props that you need for your practice. Maybe you want to sit on a block or a bolster or a pillow or a blanket. Maybe you need some extra support for under the knees. So again, a pillow or blanket. You can also double up on your yoga mat. I just recommend having whatever you need to make this class work for you and make it accessible for you and your body. Remember that everything I say is an option, not an order. I want you to listen to you and what feels good to you. So I will stop rambling and we will get started. We're going to get started in an easy seated pose. So easy seated pose means something different for everyone. For me, I like to sit with my legs crossed. You can sit with your legs extended. You could even sit in a chair if that feels good. Or again, sit on a pillow, bolster, blanket, block. Sit any way that feels right for your body. I just encourage you to maybe scooch some goodness out from underneath you. Feel those sit bones on the mat and just be seated comfortably with a tall spine. So we're gonna start with our hands just on our legs. You can have palms facing down for grounding, palms facing up to receive. We're just gonna do a little bit of breath work here, a little bit of pranayama to start our class off, and then we'll get into the asana and the wrist exercises. So just taking a moment of mindfulness to come to your space, to your body, to the right here, the right now on your mat. Just starting to notice your breath as it goes in and out. Not changing anything about it, just noticing it. Maybe notice what's happening in the body as you breathe. So perhaps on the inhale, you feel those shoulders rise, the chest expand, the belly expand, taking up space. And on the exhale, a gentle release, a gentle relaxation, a gentle grounding. Perhaps deepening and lengthening your inhales and exhales here. I'm just doing a little internal scan. You can do a body scan, a scan of the mind, the soul, a little inventory, a little check-in. Just take a moment to be mindful here and notice what's happening. How do you feel in the mind, the body, the soul? If you happen to notice any constraints, blockages, tensions, acknowledge them, notice them, be aware that they're there, but don't allow yourself to get attached. Practice non-judgment, non-attachment. If you find yourself maybe getting a little too attached to something, taking a big inhale in, fill up the chest, fill up the belly, and open mouth, exhale. We'll do 2 more breaths just like that. Really big inhale in. Filling up chest, filling up belly. And open mouth, exhale. Last one just like that. Biggest yet, really big inhale in. Fill up a little more, take up space. And open mouth, exhale. You can allow your breath to return to normal. If your eyes were closed, you can open them and just come back to us here. We're gonna get right into some wrist warm-ups. So what I want you to do is lift your hands up, and we're just gonna take our hands in some circles. So we're going from an open palm to a closed palm and rotating at the wrists. Open to close, like you're kind of grabbing onto something and pulling it in. Very gentle movement here, getting a little bit of range of motion as we go in a circle. You can keep these circles small, or you can try to make them bigger. The more you kind of outstretch those hands, those fingers, the bigger it's going to make that movement. And we're just breathing gently here. You might feel those forearms, those wrists starting to warm up a bit. All right, one more here. Then we're gonna take it in the opposite direction. So you're starting with a fist and then going out and back in. So we were going, I guess both hands are going in different directions. We were going in the opposite direction. Now we're taking it in a different circle. So going inwards instead of outwards. I was trying to do counterclockwise and clockwise, but both hands are going different directions. So a different direction than what we started. We started with out. Now we're coming in, starting with a fist and reaching out. Just warming up the wrists, warming up the forearms. Couple more here. And go ahead and release. You can kind of shake it out a little bit, shake out your neck, maybe roll out your shoulders. It's crazy how such slight movements will warm up your forearm, your arms, your shoulders. Now we're just gonna shake it out. So what I want you to do is kind of just flick your wrist. You don't have to do this too hard if you do have an existing wrist or finger injury. We're just kind of flicking it out, shaking the hands back and forth. You can find any motion that feels good. You can do them both at the same time, or you can do one at a time. You can go up and down, you can go side to side. We're just warming up the wrists here. Don't forget your breath. All right, you can go ahead and release. Now, we did singular kind of hand circles here. We're gonna bring the palms together now, interlace the fingers, and we're gonna take both hands in one big circle. So rotating at the wrists, taking that ball of your hands in one circle. Again, you can keep this small, or you can make it bigger. The bigger you make it, the more mobility and range of motion you're finding in your wrists. Might feel a little funky. You might have to think about it for a second. We're just taking this ball of our hands in a circle. Now take a moment to pause and go in the opposite direction. So last I was going out and then in. This time I'm going in and then out. I find that the other direction always feels a little weird, takes a little bit more concentration. I'm right-handed, so that might be why. If you're left-handed, maybe that feels a little different. You might feel or hear some snap, crackles, and pops. That is okay. Unless you start to feel pain, then we want to stop. But you should feel warmth, warming up of the muscles, a little bit of a stretch. All right, so we'll go ahead and release. You're going to keep those fingers interlaced, so we're not completely releasing our hands just yet. We're going to bring our elbows up. Woo, excuse me, I have a sneeze coming. Achoo! Woo, excuse me, that one came out of nowhere. All right, so our fingers are still interlaced. We're bringing our elbows up. Now we're going to start with the right wrist. We're going to lift the right wrist up and press the left wrist down. And you're going to start to press into your fingers here. So you're going to start to feel that pull in the top of the right wrist and in the bottom of the left wrist. You don't want to pull too hard, just enough so you can feel it. We'll go ahead and switch sides. So now the top of the left wrist, the bottom of the right wrist. We'll do each side one more time. So switching, again, top of right, bottom of left. And last time, top of left, bottom of right. You go ahead and release to neutral, and now you can uninterlace your fingers and kind of shake those wrists out again. Just giving them a little flick, up and down, side to side, shaking them out. All right, we're gonna get into some hand palm circles here. So what I want you to do is just stick your hands out straight from your shoulders. So your arms are extending, your palms are facing away from you. We have active fingers here. So I really want you to stretch those fingers out as much as you can. Really, you'll feel that stretch in the fingers. You'll kind of feel them start to warm up. Now we're gonna do some circles here. So we're gonna start with the right hand. You're gonna turn that right hand, those right fingers out to the side and under. Still pressing that right arm out. And then go ahead and come back to center. Now I'll do the left hand. Left finger is turning out to the left and down, palm facing out. And then go ahead and rotate back. We'll do each side one more time with the right hand going out and down. And back up to center. And the left hand going out and down. And back up to center. Go ahead and release here. Again, you can kind of gently shake those wrists out. Now we're going to do both hands at the same time. So when you're ready, both arms are going to extend, palms facing out. With both hands now, we're going to go out and down, still pressing those palms forward. And then back and up. Now we'll incorporate the breath. Inhale, out and down. Exhale, up and back. Inhale, out and down. Exhale, up and back. Last one. Inhale, out and down. Exhale, up and back. Go ahead and release. Maybe take some wrist circles, maybe shake them out. All right, my friends, we're going to transition to a tabletop position or a seat on our knees. So if you need that support under your knees, go ahead and grab it. We're just going to come to our knees here. We're going to start on our knees, not in a full tabletop position just yet. I'm going to open my knees as wide as the mat, sitting on my heels. You can sit on a block or a bolster or a pillow here, and again, you can have that extra support under your knees. We're going to come to lean forward on our hands. So just like this, we're coming to our palms, and you might even feel here that pressure on your wrists. How do we start to relieve some of that pressure? We really press into the mat. So the more you're kind of like leaning forward and just kind of like hunching over here, the more you're going to feel in those wrists. The more you actively press into the palms, push your shoulders down and away from the ears, you're kind of taking some of the pressure off those wrists. So now what we're going to do is what we were just doing, where we're turning our palms out and then back. So we're going to start with the right hand. So the right fingers turn out and then turn back to face us. Now we're still leaning on our wrists here. If this feels like too much for you, you can back off a little so the palm isn't all the way on the mat. And the more you bring your hand in closer to you, the less you're going to feel it. If you kind of walk that hand out, the more you're going to feel it. We're getting into the back of that right wrist. Gently go ahead and bring it back out to the side and then to center, and we'll take it to the other side. So we're walking those fingers out to the side and then back to face us. Same thing here. Ask yourself, is this too much? Do I want to release some of that pressure? Do I want to maybe bring the hand in more, or do I want to push it out more so I feel it? Find what feels best for you and your body. And again, still try to push those shoulders down and away from the ears. And go ahead and gently release, fingers out to the side and then to the front. Now we're going to do both hands. So both hands are just going to flip to face back towards you. So fingers are facing back towards your body. And again, The more you kind of walk your hands in here, the less pressure there's going to be. The more you walk them out, the more you're going to feel it. Find that place that feels good for you. Try to keep those shoulders down and away from the ears. Finding your breath here. And gently go ahead and release. You can kind of shake those wrists out. Maybe take them in some circles. We're going to do one more thing here. And I want you to really be careful here. I don't want you to put too much pressure on your wrists. So, you're going to lean forward. And now you're going to come to the tops of your hands. So the tops of our hands are going to come down now to the mat. And the more pressure you put on that, again, the more you're going to feel it. The more you walk the hands out, the more you're going to feel it. The closer they're into the body, the less you're going to feel it. I do not want you to put the full pressure of your body onto these wrists. Press those shoulders down and away from the ears. Feel this stretch in the tops of the wrists, tops of the hands. Find your breath. And when you're ready to release, do so gently and shake it out. All right, my friends. We're going to do an exercise here in a tabletop. So now I'm coming to my hands and knees. My shoulder, elbow, wrists will stack. My hips will stack over my knees. And we're going to take some circles around our hands. So what does that look like? I'm going to lean my body over to the right. Then I'm going to press my shoulders past my wrists, coming forward. Then I'm going to lean over to the left. And then stick my booty back, almost coming to a child's pose. Coming center back, then over to the right, then center front, then over to the left. You see where I'm going here? It's like you're drawing a circle with your chest on the mat. You're taking a circle around your wrists. So the more you push those shoulders forward when you come forward, and the more you drop back into that almost child's pose, the more you're going to feel it. Finding your breath perhaps, inhaling as you come forward, and exhaling as you come back. We'll just do a couple more in this direction. Don't mind my air conditioner turning on very loudly. I live in Las Vegas, it's very hot. The next time you are back in that almost child's pose, take a pause. And then we're going to take it in the opposite direction. So now I'm leaning over to the left, then pressing my shoulders forward, then over to the right, then dropping those hips back. Inhale, forward and center. Exhale, back and center. Find your flow here. Take it as fast or as slow as feels good to you. A couple more rounds in this direction. Now the next time you are back, we're actually going to take a full child's pose here. So I'm going to open my knees as wide as the mat, honoring and making space for my belly and thighs, sinking my hips back to my heels, walking my hands out, lowering my chest, my head down to the mat, and taking some of the pressure off those wrists here. Now, option to stay right here. Option if you want a little more and you want a little more release and stretch in those wrists, you're going to turn your palms facing upwards. So just rotating at the forearm, at the wrist, palms facing upward. Hands extended, fingers extended, almost like you're asking for something here. And perhaps while you're here, you want to ask the universe for something you're manifesting, you can do that. Palms up and open to receive. Maybe ask for abundance or happiness or peace or joy.
or anything specific you're working on manifesting. Find your breath, filling up on the inhales, taking up space, and grounding and releasing on the exhale. On your next inhale, you can gently rise back to your tabletop. Exhale here. Now we're going to find a downward facing dog. Now, one of the best ways to strengthen your wrists is to hold poses that make you use your wrists. So downward dog, high plank pose, arm balances, crow pose, even a tabletop here. The more you do these postures, the stronger your wrists will become. So we're just gonna hold a downward dog for a few breaths. So really key here, my fingers are outstretched. I'm really pressing my palms into the mat, tucking my toes, and inhaling those hips up and back. Your heels do not have to touch the mat, but encouraging the heels down. And again, I'm really pressing my palms into the mat. I'm pressing my chest through my shoulders towards the tops of my thighs. Maybe finding some movement here, maybe pedaling the feet, maybe shaking the hips, shaking the head. Still pressing those palms into the mat. Finding some stillness here. And we're going to make our way to a forward fold. So whether you walk your hands forward or maybe you walk the hands back to the feet, we're coming to a forward fold here. Now our final posture that we're going to take is called gorilla pose. So you might need to widen the feet a little bit to honor and make space for the belly and thighs. You might need to really bend into these knees. But our goal is to get the hands underneath the feet. So again, maybe you really need to bend into these knees. Maybe you need to widen the feet a bit. I'm going to take my palms face up, put them underneath my feet, try to walk my toes up to my wrists. You can even massage your wrists with your toes here. And the more you kind of pull your shoulders up, or the more you try to straighten your legs, you're going to feel that pull in the wrists, in the tops of the wrists, tops of the hands. Breathing here. Now when you're ready to release, do so gently. Release those hands from underneath the feet. You can bring your palms to your shins or to blocks if you got them. Press into them. Inhale for a halfway lift, flat spine. Exhale, fold. The next inhale, we'll slowly rise all the way up to standing. Maybe those arms come up and around. Exhale, palms come to touch. You can draw those hands to your heart center. The light and love in me honors the light and love in each of you, my friends. We bow to our practice. Thank you. All right, my lovelies, that is all I have for you today. I hope your wrists feel a little better. They might feel a little sore, like you used them, but again, the more you use them, the more you do this class, the more you hold those postures. You can just sit at your desk and do these wrist warm-ups. You're going to strengthen those wrists and relieve some of that pain and hopefully not feel as much pain in those postures. So I hope you enjoyed. I have a ton of free yoga classes here on my YouTube channel, accessible for all bodies, for plus size bodies, trauma informed. I do astrology based yoga classes. I also do tarot readings here. I have a membership here. If you just hit that join button, we do live yoga, live tarot, live new moon and full moon workshops. I have a full witchcraft and wellness course bundle with crystal magic yoga, moon magic yoga, chakras, everything that you can imagine, mindful love, self-love, mindful eating, there we go. all the things for Witchcraft and Wellness, including a 30-day Witchcraft and Wellness Challenge ebook. If you're learning to start your Witchcraft and Wellness practice, I have all the things. Everything will be in the description box below. Hit that like, comment, save, subscribe, share, all those buttons. And I hope this helped, and I will see you guys next time.